Greetings, everyone. I hope you are fine. I hope you are doing well. I'm Olani Moloyi, and if you're new here, this channel is all about African history, politics, business, social activities, and many other things. And I do appreciate whenever you subscribe, like, and whenever you share as well. I just want to say thank you very much. In this video, I just want to talk about what is happening between MK Party and economic freedom fighters. When Floyd Shivambu left economic freedom fighters, I was not happy at all because I don't like seeing black people fighting against one another or division amongst black people. And mainstream media was already on top of the world. They were very excited. But here's the thing. In most cases, I don't want to talk about something that I don't have a bit of understanding about it. So I was just a bit confused because I had known economic freedom fighters as a united and a solid organization. And again, at the same time, when Busisiwe Mkhwebane left economic freedom fighters, I decided not to talk about it. And when Dali Mpofu made an announcement to leave economic freedom fighters, I had already decided not to talk about it because there was something missing. That is why I always say I don't want to talk about something that I don't fully understand. So even if I don't fully understand it, at least I must have a bit of understanding or something like a light. But this video of Julius Malema responding or giving clarity or giving his thoughts about Dali Mpofu leaving economic freedom fighters gave me a gist, a light that I've been looking for. But before I can give you my perspective, I just want us to hear what Julius Malema had to say.
There was a meeting of the opposition parties which was called by Zuma. And I said, I'm not going. So I asked Floyd and Marshall to attend the SG. They went and Dali was there. Dali went to make a presentation of a paper in that first meeting where he said the EFF must close down with the other parties and then form something under Zuma's leadership. I mean, things happen the way they happen. I mean, Floyd and Marshall, you know him, he's just there and he speaks when it is necessary. But Floyd is the one who was leading the discussion. Who said, no ways, it's not going to happen, and all of that. And then he comes back extremely shocked that Dali is not only proposing it, he has written it down. He has had time to think about it and wrote it down. So I said, no. So then we agreed that we must meet, all parties must go consult their leadership, blah, blah. What is our position? I said, but that's madness. We can't do that. We closed the EFF to Zuma. Not 1 year. It was not even formed at that time. To what? Like, to do what? I don't understand that. Then perhaps Dali realizes they're not doing a good job. He comes himself to me when they were all there as the officials in the 5th floor. He says, no, he wants to see me. I said, no, sharp, come. But I knew what he was going to tell me. So I brought Floyd and I brought Marshall into the meeting. And then he said that. He says, so I told him, no, it's not going to happen. I don't agree with that. And there's no EFF that is going to close shop. In his skillful way, you know, him said, okay, plus we are late now in the elections. Maybe after the elections, we can engage about it again. I said, no problem. And then, again, Floyd and Marshall went back to the meeting to give their party structures a position. They came back and said to me, the president of ATM, Zungula, said, of all of us here, parties, the only party with a national footprint, which is properly established with machinery, is the EFF. let's collapse this thing. Let's collapse all of us into the EFF. Olomisa was in that meeting. That president of the PAC was there. I don't know if Carl Neos was there or what. They were all there. I still refuse. I said, I'm not going. I'm not part. I don't agree with that. And then that's what they said. Zungula is the one who said, actually, the EFF is the way. Then Zuma responded and said, no. Can you imagine an old person voting for EFF? These old people will never agree to vote for the EFF. And he told them the footprint of how, if we come together, we're going to get the votes from where and all of that.
In other words, Jacob Zuma had a good vision. In other words, his vision is to unite all South African political parties, especially black political parties, so that they can have a strength to write a new constitution or to establish a new constitution. And I believe that this is a good vision. This is a good idea, because right now in South Africa, we have many political parties, and we don't even know who is behind some of these political parties or most of these political parties, because it seems as if there's a disturbance. They try by all means to disturb people from uniting, or black people to be exact, from uniting, because they know that unity is power. Because if we are united, then we can do whatever we want with economy. We can do whatever we want when it comes to decision making, and etc. and etc. So in other words, Jacob Zuma had a good vision to say, let's come together so that at least we can form one thing, one political party that will be able to fight against the beast, which is African National Congress. I really like this idea, but it seems as if there was a disagreement there and there. But here is the thing that I want to talk about. We should no longer be surprised whenever we see the members of Economic Freedom Fighters leaving EFF. Why? Because we already know what happened. So there was a meeting. Because sometimes in order for you to understand certain things, you need to find the gist. You need to get the roots of that particular thing. So now we can tell that even this thing of a progressive caucus is something that originated back then, even before the formation of Umkhonto Wesizwe. So in other words, they should have gone ahead to say, you know what, let's unite, maybe under the umbrella of Economic Freedom Fighters, because Economic Freedom Fighters at that time was a bigger political party amongst all the political parties that were there. In other words, they should have gone ahead to say, let's unite under the umbrella of Economic Freedom Fighters. But it seems as if there was a disagreement. But here is the thing. In other words, even though Julius Malema was in disagreement with the whole thing, it's deep down in their hearts, they had already decided to say, you know what, we have to close EFF so that we can form another political party together with Jacob Zuma so that we can defeat this beast or this lion, which is African National Congress. So it seems as if at this time, Julius Malema was a stumbling block. So that is why I'm like, and some of the members of Economic Freedom Fighters had already made up their minds to join MK Party for just in case. So from now on, there's no need for us to be surprised, because had we had this information about this meeting, we wouldn't be like surprised about the members of Economic Freedom Fighters joining MK Party. There's absolutely nothing wrong with MK Party, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with Economic Freedom Fighters. But my perception is that there's an organization which is SACP, and SACP has its own policies. but right now, as we speak, is in alliance with African National Congress. And it seems as if African National Congress has already swallowed SACP, because right now SACP doesn't have a voice. So me personally, I don't want to see economic freedom fighters being an alliance of MK party or any other political party, because EFF is good when it comes to holding other political parties accountable. Because if we form this alliance now, who is going to hold these political parties right now accountable? Because we are not even sure or certain what will happen next. Because you have to know, politicians will always change, and politicians cannot be fully trusted. So that is why I'm like, this idea of economic freedom fighters, like for an example, closing, then we form another political party, something like that, it can be dangerous, especially to the voters of economic freedom fighters and the current members of the economic freedom fighters. And there's no guarantee that the members of economic freedom fighters will join MK party after the closure of EFF. So that is why I'm like, this was a very sensitive decision. But at the time, it would have been better if they could have endorsed economic freedom fighters, because economic freedom fighters in that meeting was a bigger political party. This is just my perception so far.
And then after the second meeting, we came back. Then they say, no, Zuma wants to see me. 4 eyes. I said, no problem, I'll go. Dali says he's going to come, but I already know what Dali is up to. So I bring Vuyani. I said, Vuyani, let's go together. No, when we entered the meeting, President Zuma asked me to stay in the meeting with him. And then Dali and some other chubby guy, I can't remember what was his name, but he came from President Zuma's side, and Vuyani asked them to excuse us so that we can have a discussion. So I remained with President Zuma. He started making that presentation and all of that. But Floyd told me that in the first meeting, Zuma addressed them for 3 hours. In the second meeting, it was relatively better. He addressed them for 2 hours. So I said, how do you allow that? I said, hey, we're thinking maybe General will stop him or something. Hey, but we sit there and just listen. I said, no problem. So when they said he wants to see me, 10, 15 minutes into the discussion, I interjected him, because at the back of my mind was like, you're not going to address me for 2 hours. It's not going to happen. Not 3 hours. I said, no, Baba, but I was thinking, you endorse the EFF. And then after endorsing the EFF, we'll have a proper discussion, because we are now late, just on the eve of the elections. And then we can talk about what are the issues that you want us to take up in the immediate and all of that. And then he said, well, it's too late because I'm launching a party on the 16th of December. And I think we're like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that. So hard luck. But let's take up this discussion after the elections. The meeting ended. If it took long, it's 20 minutes. We're done. And then we opened the door for those guys to come back. They were all like, so quick. I was like, no, we know what we want. Because it was not going to happen.
In other words, according to the words of Julius Malema, one of the architects when it comes to the formation of MK Party is Dali Mpofu. In other words, when we use chronology, we can say the first person to join MK Party from economic freedom fighters is Dali Mpofu, followed by others. In other words, we should no longer be surprised whenever we see some people leaving economic freedom fighters to join MK is as a result of that meeting. And again, the reason we have this thing, which is a progressive caucus, and I think is positive, it's because of that particular meeting to unite all black political parties so that they can serve the people, so that they can work on behalf of the people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I believe that the vision of Jacob Zuma is a good vision. But at the same time, there are loyal voters and loyal supporters of economic freedom fighters. So before you can make such a decision, it would be important to consult such people. But here is the thing. In other words, before the elections, there were some leaders of economic freedom fighters who had already decided, or maybe they were skeptic whether to vote for economic freedom fighters or maybe to vote for MK. This is my perception. But as I come to the end of this video, I would like to say, based on history, I don't want economic freedom fighters to become an alliance of any other political party, because some organizations that formed alliance with African National Congress are dead as we speak. If they are still breathing, they can't do anything. Even though they are breathing, but they can't do anything as we speak. So if they want two-thirds majority, then they can form coalition, maybe after the elections of 2029. But they have to be careful about one thing. These leaders should be accountable, because it's not about politicians, it's about the people. I don't know what you think. Should EFF and MK party become one thing, or they should just form coalition? What is your perception about this? Because I don't think this is the death of EFF as many people think, as many people say, because it's just that the leaders of economic freedom fighters have decided to leave. We don't know about the members, because in order for the political party to die, in other words, the members and the voters should betray that political party. Thank you very much.